Hi, I'm Sarah, and I've always been raised in a Christian home with godly parents as role models for me. But in middle school and high school, the definition of religion in my home started to change, and I got so confused that I just stayed away from religion altogether, and that kind of meant staying away from God. And I just ran into all these things that were wrong for me, like drinking, partying really heavily, guys that weren't good for me, smoking. And all of these chaotic things in my life eventually led me to an eating disorder because it was the one thing I felt like I could control. And after a couple months of that, I realized that I was really unhealthy and I needed to change, but I tried to do it on my own. And we all know that if that happens, it's not going to be permanent. So I started hanging out with a new crowd and trying to give up some of my sinful habits, but I got into school, and so I thought I could leave all those things behind. And it followed me, of course. And one night, towards the end of my first semester at JMU, I just confessed to my roommates a lot of my sins and the habits that I'd been having, and basically just relinquished control over to God that night. And the next semester, I just dove into the scriptures and kind of made a spiritual bubble for myself. So I was kind of afraid to be social because I didn't know if I was strong enough to stand up to those kind of things. So it was a time of healing for me and of restoration because I knew God had forgiven me and He sent His Son on Calvary to forgive me, but I'm my biggest critic and I had a really hard time forgiving myself. And I mean, immediate changes started happening. I started reading different things, I started talking differently. My heart had become really hardened in those past couple years because of the stuff that I did, and He really started softening my heart again. So I knew I was changing because of all the things that were happening differently and the way I felt. And what really made a big difference was when my mom even noticed and said, "You know, Sarah, I know you like to be by yourself right now and you're afraid to get back out there, but if your dad and I look at you and see the new person that you are and not see who you used to be, think of how your Heavenly Father looks at you." So that really made a big impact and let me know that I was changing, people could notice, and I'm in the best shape physically, emotionally, morally, spiritually that I ever have been in my life, and I know it's only because of God's grace.